What was the biggest purchase that you made at the height of everything?
I'd say we bought one time, I don't know, maybe 300 keys, 400 keys one time and whatnot. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Did you make any big like personal purchases like
Oh,
cars
I,
or anything
oh
like
no,
that?
yeah, we had, excuse me. Oh,
No, we
hey, look,
we
I already got convicted and sentenced for what I did, so
right.
I can speak. I was found guilty of running continuing criminal enterprise. I was found guilty of a RICO, and so anything I say is already proven. So it's not. I went to trial. I went to court. I was convicted of it, so I'm not worrying about it, right? So anyway, yeah, we bought things. I had a building over there. I had 3 buildings actually, right? And then I had a store. We had cars, mink coats, jewelry. We spent a lot of money on jewelry, to be honest with you. So we should have been buying more land and more property than anything else, but we wasn't thinking too much. That's the thing about now. I came home, I see all the land that I wish I would have bought. Somebody else bought it, and they got all type of stuff built on it. God don't make no more land. You feel me? And that's what we should have bought. Instead of buying cars and jewelry, we should have bought land and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that for sure, man. Okay, I think you kind of touched on this, but I believe in 1987, Supreme goes to jail on narcotic charges. What was it like taking over when he went to jail?
Nobody raises their hand and say, hey, let me be the one to run something. It don't work like that. You know what I mean? Heavy is the head that wears the crown. That stuff it takes a lot of responsibility. And what was it like? It was just something you had to do. It wasn't like it was exciting or nothing. It just was something that you had to do. And you do things to keep things running smoothly. You know what I mean?
You guys made it all the way from the bottom to the top. How did you get to the level that you made it to?
Loyalty, sincerity. In that life, it's hard, man. That street life is dangerous. It's hard. I wouldn't wish that on nobody. I wouldn't want my grandson to ever be in that lifestyle. It's wicked. It's dangerous. You have to be on your toes. You have to watch law enforcement. You have to watch snakes in the grass. You have to watch your own people, some of them. It's a dangerous lifestyle. And that's why it's hard for me to speak about it. I can show it in a documentary. I can show it in a movie. It's hard to speak about in a certain way because you got to see it to believe it. It can be cruel, man. It can be wicked. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot from life, from that lifestyle. But who wants to sacrifice so much to learn so little? You know what I mean? And whatnot. I'm going to be putting together something where people can see. They're going to see exactly what happened in that lifestyle when I put it to film.
It was reported you guys were making a very large sums of money. How accurate were those reports?
You got to be careful because sometimes, right? That's the one thing about stories. It be so many lies mixed in with the truth. You can't tell the difference, right? Sometimes they say, I think what's a saying that goes, the truth is stranger than fiction or something like that, something of that nature. But yeah, we made a lot of money and we did a lot of things. We had businesses that people don't even know we had. I was telling somebody before, Preem had satellite business before but satellites became a big thing. He had a satellite company on Hillside Avenue, right? Nobody really knows this. And before satellites were even a big thing, he had a company and he was putting satellites in people's homes and stuff. But, and then, but we made a lot of money, bro. I can't even calculate how much to you. I can't say how much but it was a lot. You know, we was at our height. We was making a whole bunch of money, man.
You mentioned buying 300 keys, you know, at one time. Now, were those like dangerous encounters? Like, when you do something like that, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, but and let me just fix that so you understand. I'm talking about within a period of maybe 2 weeks or so. You said the most, so I'm really calculating like in a 2-week period, something of that nature. I remember us buying keys, and I remember that we used to keep we had a record of what we kept most of the time. We had someone who had the record, right? He would keep the books, and we had it written down in the books. And I remember in trial, they going over it in trial and talking about what we made in the 2-week period. That's why I mentioned that. So, our turnover was fast, right? We had so many areas we were turning over fast, and again, we were also selling keys to people. They had to sell our product and whatnot, so they would sell our product, So, yeah.
Every street story ends with death or a serious amount of time in prison. You mentioned going legit and that you guys didn't want to be here for a long periods of time, but did you ever think about how close were you to quitting? Did you ever quit? Did you, what was that like?
Every time we got close to leaving that life alone, we got arrested. Every time we got close to wanting to leave it alone, it would be an arrest, and the arrest would cause us to get back into the game, back into that lifestyle. And you making so much money, man, and then you thinking that you ain't never thinking you're gonna get caught, actually. But you are saying to yourself, and we used to have talks, and we would sit everybody down, we would watch films and movies, and we would have talks, and we would say, if you can't do life, you're in the wrong business. That's what we would say. That's what Preem would say. If you can't do life in prison, you're in the wrong business. And so and the reason why he said that to us is to let people understand that that's what can happen. And I'm gonna tell you something, very few people actually get rich in that lifestyle, contrary to what everybody say. Usually in that lifestyle, you either gonna get killed or you're gonna go to prison for a very long time. Rarely do you actually really get filthy rich. And I just wanna get that myth out the way. And so to the children, teenagers, and young adults who might be watching your program, I want them to understand, especially today, that life is over with. We talking about the past. In the past, very few people got paid like you think they did, And then the more money you get, the more you want to stay in that lifestyle, because it looks it's so easy to you. Back in that time, the police were crooked. They let you sell. Nowadays, they ain't letting you do shit really. You know what I mean? And it ain't even worth it anyway. So, yeah, that was a hell of an era, man. And that's why you see so many rappers rap about it. It was a time when hip hop was formulating. You're talking about the 70, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, and so they rapped about the things we did. Mind you, it's times when we gave turkeys away for Thanksgiving. We did all kind of stuff for holidays. We paid people's rents that were losing their apartments. Now, mind you, that don't make up for the bad that we did, but it's hard. We don't talk about the good we did in the midst of bad, because people look at the bad and say that's the worst thing in the world. But we fed people, man. We fed people in the streets, people that was doing bad. We helped people out. You know what I'm saying? Even though we was doing wrong,
What's up? This is Cam Capone. We got more content like this coming soon, so hit that like button, subscribe, and stay locked in to Cam Capone News.